Hi everyone, welcome to your beloved Moon in Leo reading. These readings are timeless and signless, as you guys know already, so you don't have to have any sign placements at all, and you don't actually have to be concerned about when you're watching this video. As long as it comes before you and is manifested before you, there could be something in here for you. I also invite you, as usual, to use your own discernment when you come to these videos and any kind of media, news, YouTube, papers, whatever that you come into contact with. Please feel through it. And if whatever comes through here today doesn't seem to resonate for you, I would back pocket it and see if it comes up a little bit later, because we are reading energies and energies flow in their own time. All right, so that being said, today's reading is going to be spanning September 20th to, let's say, the early morning of September 23rd. So we're looking at the moon in Leo. Yay! Come on, moon in Leo. And guys, I forgive me if you have any mic disturbances. I am attaching it. It's a lavalier one. Fun. So I'm always trying to think where's the best placement for it. So these lovely cards wanted to work with you guys today. Interesting, under this moon in Leo. I'm feeling a very technical kind of, see the words technician, engineer, that kind of energy is coming through. So let's just go ahead and see what's up. Honeybee, reciprocity. Wow, if that's not in line with the energies of Libra, our sun is moving into the sign of Libra soon. We'll be having a lot of lessons and a lot of focus, and dare I say it, a lot of issues relating to our interrelationships. In other words, we're going to be moving into looking at interrelationships and what we can learn about ourselves through these relationships with other people. And yeah, so that's what's going on. And so that's why I'm not surprised to see this energy of honeybee / reciprocity. We know that Libran energies, I mean, if you know me, you know me. I have like very many placements in the sign of Libra. My moon is in Taurus. Got a lot of Venusian stuff going on there. And, with us Librans, we apologize to you if you bumped into us. So... So it's time, people. We're going to be looking at these concepts that are related to balance, fairness, reciprocity, and that's the lens that we're going to be working on, right? And when you work on these lenses, let's say, for example, fairness, let's say one of the concepts that we're going to be looking at, it's one of the concepts that do fall under the sign of Libra, by the way, fairness, equality, right? And when we work on those lenses, remember, we see the world through that lens. So in order to really know that you're getting the best out of the lens that you're wearing, you want to do a little investigation about the lens that you're wearing. And we wear lenses to see the world, and these lenses are informed by our conditioning, our past life stuff, the unhealed wounds that we have, our fear and distortions on the inside. So these are ego, shadows, all of that. Those color the lens through which we see the world. And so let's say, for example, you are wondering, let's say you've had a rough week, and you wake up and in the morning and you're like, I kind of want to call in sick today. Now, some of you may be like, oh, well, yeah, that's fair. I've had a rough day. I have to think about me, self-care. Now, that is a very good principle, but it's also a good principle if it's like, wow, I've had a very rough week. You know what? I'm not the only I'm not the only person who's had a rough week, and I should probably consider what is happening when I choose the day of to take a day off. Guess what? Somebody else is going to have to step up and do my work, and is that fair? And how is the workplace going to benefit from my absence, especially at the last minute? So we can have fairness. My point is, this lens of fairness, you could explain away something in terms of fair or unfair, and it may not be correct, right? Because we could make a case for staying home or going to work and talk about how it's fair or how it's unfair. And in fact, when you're teaching people how to write and to apply critical thinking, one of the things that you're going to teach them how to do is to do an argumentative essay, a debate essay, and they have to be able to debate the pros and cons of both sides and to synthesize that and then come up with what they deem is the most logical, most ethical, most fair, whatever lens you want to use. But you see, the whole point that I'm saying is all that. I just want to throw it off the table, because your ability to determine what is fair or unfair is going to be based on how the kinds of thoughts you think and the kinds of emotions that you feel, the kind of conditioning that you've had. And so when we know that all of those are very subjective, we obviously come to the realization that, oh my God, this totally should be objective concept of something being fair or not is now very relative, and I don't know what's right. And some people will, live and die, pick up a gun and kill others because they feel that they have the idea about what's fair, and another will have a different idea and feel just as strongly. And so you see, when we live in a world that is so relative, so subjective, and there's so many moving parts that lead to something seeming logical or illogical, or the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, like, what do we do? And that's where spirituality comes in. And that's a very blanket term, but that's where, they're like, bring that card in. Okay, we're here. I love this card. This is like the person and their spirit guide just sitting there talking. When you bring spirit into the equation, look, just like her. Oh my God, look how she's holding this portal, and it's like this deer is coming through. That's spirit. When you bring spirit through, what you're actually doing is you're asking for a higher form of consciousness beyond this planet, beyond the confines. In fact, look at the next card, the confines of this earthly incarnation, these earthly beliefs, these earthly sentiments and feelings and codes of ethics and all of this. You're bringing an energy, a consciousness in. You're asking for an energy and a consciousness that is grounded in love, to offer perspective. And that's the big difference, the love. Love is the big difference. And you may be like, but Jay, that's not the only thing to consider. Yeah, I understand that there is this idea that we have a plethora of things to consider, and we really do. But as Spirit comes through to say, there are always going to be many things to consider, but you're more assured of a healthy, healthy outcome, meaning an outcome that, despite maybe how it feels, it's in the health and well-being, even from a higher perspective for all involved. You're going to bring about a more healthy perspective if you reach for something higher, if you call something higher in to assist you. Remember, we make choices down here, of course, but you can make choices in the dark or you can make choices in the light. At the end of the day, you are still responsible for when you moved your right hand. Okay? Whatever thoughts and emotions you felt and thought leading up to you moving that right hand is really, it's just par for conversation. So anyway, that was a lot, but look at what's happening. We're moving into a period of looking at interpersonal relationships and what comes along with that, concepts of fairness and reciprocity, and of course that begs into purview the concept of self-love and self-care, but understanding that there is a very thin line between selfishness and selflessness. There's a very thin line between service to others and service to self. Both are true, Both can be true at the same time, depending on how you look at it. And so you may ask, well, Jonelle, what do I do? And I would answer, that's your homework. That's what we're here to do. Always remember, there are parts that can be revealed to you here to help you along the way, but there are just going to be times on this planet where you're just going to have trial by error. You're going to have to try through application. You're going to have to apply something, come back, rethink it, go out, learn things, synthesize, reapply, come back with feedback. That's what happens during the moon cycle. Speaking of the moon, in the moon cycle, you plant seeds, you watch it grow, you take care to shelter what's growing, and you avoid the naysaying. You do your best to keep a positive state of mind. You research, you work and collaborate with others. You get the yield, you consider what you could have done better, and then you replant again. And you see what I mean? It's just a constant cycle of growing and learning. And anytime you try to bypass the process, that empirical process, that experiential process, then you're getting into a territory where you're kind of just putting time on your hands. You're just holding yourself back when it comes to timing, okay? So anyway, that's coming through, okay? So far, our moon in Leo, but that's the energy message that wants to come through there. Let's take a quick look and see what the cards actually are also communicating. Thank you. They're saying at this time, and then we know this, there are many, many paths to choose. I see a portal here. I see a portal there. I see these two things looking similar, but one seeming upon closer inspection to be not as safe as the other path, right? And we see this person high up in the air with their bow and arrow. This is actually my favorite card in the deck, by the way. Doing their best to find a focus and to maintain that focus. So the question at this time that you're going to be having to answer and to feel your way through in the background of all that's going on is, where am I putting my focus? In other words, what is my intention? Where am I placing my intention? Do I even have an intention? Or is my intention like very fleeting and built on sand and fog, house and fog, built on sand and fog. Intentions like, oh, I'm gonna make sure I pay my bills. Yeah, that's great. Do that. But what's your larger focus? What would you like to feel? What would you like to be? What would you like to accomplish? Where do you see yourself? What's going on? What's your focus? And what are you doing to maintain that effort? Well, what are you even doing to start that effort? What are you doing to maintain it? What are you doing to protect the intentions that you're putting forth? Are you letting just anybody, any old person talk to you about your dreams and about your plans? Are you watching any old YouTube reading? You're watching like 6 different readers in one day, and they all seem to be saying the same thing. But when you really for reals look at it, you're watching videos that aren't really for you. And so what are you doing? Where are we? So the first thing that we want to think about is how we are being. What are we grounding ourselves within? If you're not grounding yourself within something, you can't really anchor yourself as you shoot that arrow. And if you're anchored, but you're shooting an arrow into thin air and you're not even putting a direction there, then that's kind of just as bad. So start to consider what you're doing to ground yourself in your reality, yes, and also understanding what your reality is. When you understand what your reality is, and when you understand that a lot of what you believe your reality to be is probably not it, because you're projecting onto the world, once you become aware of your reality and all that's going into it, then that helps you to be more grounded in quote-unquote reality. You ground yourself, you set your sights, you call in something higher than yourself, and you collaborate with spirit in order to move forward along the trajectory that you have set yourself forward, towards. Now, what pops up along the way, now we're getting into talking about relationships, what pops up along the way, people in your life, events, arguments, tiffs, we had a tiff yesterday, spats, miscommunication, lack of understanding, all of these things, betrayal, bump, 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 all of that. All of those things are just here to get you to notice that there's something amiss going on the inside. So when these things start to pop up, it's going to be your responsibility, especially these days as we're moving into this Libran focus on interrelationships. It's your responsibility to start wondering what the connection is between this outside event, which has to do with someone else who seems to be living a completely different life, but somehow crossed your path and is not like you because you would just totally not go for that. What do they have? What could you guys possibly have in common to have your paths cross? Now, again, remember, when you're sophisticated about your understanding of energy, as the team keeps asking us to be, you understand that you cannot dismiss things because they don't make sense to you at the conscious level, because you are giving way too much power to your conscious level to know what's going on at all. So if you can barely know that you're in a certain pattern of denial or confusion, or you have certain knee-jerk reactions, if you haven't even noticed those things, how could you possibly notice what's going on within your energetic sphere if you're not even focused on trying to look at those things? So again, please be aware that if you are person A and you have any type of connection with person B, whether it's walking down the street, whether they come to deliver your mail, you never say anything to them, whether a bus drives by and you happen to look up and you see somebody in there, you never see them again in your life, guess what? You were energetically attracted to these people. It doesn't matter. You could that bus could pass by and you didn't even have to look up at all. You could have looked up and looked somewhere else. You could have looked at the tires. You could have looked at another passenger. No, you, out of the corner of your eye, you glanced and peeped that person in a conscious way and then dismissed it. That's because there is enough of a harmonic resonance that is active to kind of bring you guys even into that kind of a close proximity, and then on top of that to get you to notice that person. So you understand? So when we say if you spot it, you got it, we have to open up your mind more to realize that we take things for granted out of this entire universe, all the universes and all of reality, all of existence, everything. Why is it that you would turn on the TV? Why would you even be in your house right now? And then you're not only at your house, but you're sitting in this specific spot and you're using the remote to turn on the TV, and you happen to turn to this channel to happen to catch that. And these are all things that are pulled towards you because of your harmonic resonance inside. And so when you see these things on TV, when you hear about something, when you meet somebody, when whatever, if something is in your realm, in your world, there is something that is attracting inside. You may not be able to understand what it is because you've only been here for how many years? Less than 100. And you can't even remember what you were doing, before age 3. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? And so trust when they say if you spot it, you got it. So please, 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 as we move into this time, you really want to get out of that over judgment with Virgo and start to be a little bit more, I don't want to say understanding, right? But keep the Virgoan analytics, use the skills, use the tips, but don't be as judgmental and as close the door on this as you would during Virgo season. You want to remember that Libran energy has its perks as well. You want to use the Libran diplomacy and not the Libran pushover side. Remember, we have higher and lower aspects of these signs. It's like good and, not good and bad because, that's duality, but we have, you get it, healthier, unhealthy, or whatever you want to call it. But you want to make sure that you are being as grounded in love as possible and not being dismissive, being observant. So during this season, I would encourage you to be observant. It's not only about closing the door. And yes, we have been closing the door on a lot of people. We have been doing a lot of purging. We have been doing a lot of culling. I mean, she even has like a sickle here to do some culling. But this time I want you to have, I want to say, compassion, and to be of the mindset, give grace. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Give grace during Libra season. And grace comes through in a sense of, wow, but for the grace of God, there go I. Meaning, hey, I don't know why I'm on this side of the fence and they're on that other side of the fence, but I sure am happy I'm on this side of the fence. But listen, I don't know what went into this, and tomorrow I could be on that side and be totally struggling too. And yeah, that's the kind of mentality you want to have moving into Libra season. And again, not to be a pushover, and not to be an over people pleaser, and not to be an over apologizer, not those negative, less healthy aspects of Libra, but more in the sense that, listen, we're all in this together. It's a macrocosm. We can learn from each other. We are balancing things out. We are looking upon others as our teachers, teaching us about what? Ourselves. And that's when the scales can become balanced. If you're just purging everybody out, you're not learning anything, and you're making more imbalance because you're moving on a mindset that I know everything there is to know about what's healthy, and all those people are not healthy, and all those things are not healthy. I guarantee you that that's not the point of this lesson at this time. The point of the lesson at this time is to acknowledge that something is popping up. There's a little bit of conflict or I don't know why I just heard the word scripture, so maybe that's for somebody you're going to be directed to certain scripture to, consult in whatever holy book it is, but, or literature, they're saying. But anyway, your point is to observe so that you can understand that this person can give you a little bit of an opposite perspective from you, and you're looking to S-word, synthesize. Okay. Now, Spirit is saying it's okay if we struggle to synthesize things and to synthesize and understand. That's completely, totally, bears okay. Okay. Because we're coming from a perspective. We're coming from a perspective of A. And of course, when we see B and C and P and D and Z, they're going to seem very not A-like. And how you approach this is going to make all the difference in your evolution. Are you going to approach it like, oh, they're not A-like, and so, well, that's it, they're wrong, and I have nothing to learn, it's time to get these people out of my life? Or are you going to be of the mindset where it's like, oh, I'm noticing that they're not very A-like, and I may have been like B or like C or P or D in my past, and I have come to a place of A because I realized that being in those other letters were not healthy for me and not good for me. But guess what? They're appearing in your life again. It is very possible that there is a part B that you need to pick up and understand and observe at this time. Sometimes that second round of learning that some of you may be going through now is about learning to have compassion. Maybe the first time around was learning to be more definitive about who you are and who you would like to be and show up as in this world. And maybe this time around it's about learning to have compassion for why it is that people, and understanding for why it is that people are these other ways, without judgment. Again, very important that you put down the judgment of Virgo. And I know that it's like, but we need judgment because we're in Libra, and Libra is about the scales, and yes, I understand, but it's more than just judgment. It's also about understanding to observe, so that you can understand to integrate and synthesize and care for the self and update the self. If you're judging, you're not remaining open to be updated. And you best believe that Spirit is going to humble us. Didn't we talk about this in the September 2022 monthly reading? It's totes mid-month right now, guys. If you haven't, go back and check the monthly reading to see what's already unfolded for you, or any insight that you can now grasp because you're in the middle of the month and it makes sense now. Go back and look. But Spirit has been talking about September being a month of humiliating. I want to say humiliating. I almost said that when I was doing that reading, I think it was. But it's not about being humiliated, although that is sometimes along the road of humility, because we get embarrassed. Like me, I always get embarrassed about something. Ugh. Anyway. But it's about understanding that you need to observe And that's also part of being flexible. Virgo is not very flexible. Listen, I have a Virgo rising, okay, and a Taurus moon. Listen, we talking about being not flexible, okay? So if I can say it and do it and tell you about it, trust me, we can work it out. So yeah, learn to be flexible. And part of being flexible is understanding you don't have all the answers. You will never have all the answers, because if you have all the answers, guess what? Goodbye, you're gone. You're done from this planet, because what are you doing here? We're here to learn. So if things are coming back around again, it's because there's something left to learn, especially if it gives you pause, if it triggers you in some way, if it gives you a sense of revulsion or makes you want to run towards it. That's when you know that there's an electrical charge that's built up around some inner distortion you have that is now triggered by this thing. Especially if it rolls back into town, it's triggering you again. Guess what? You're not done. You were done before for what you needed to do, and you were able to move forward. And now you need to delve back in and see what else is ready to be revealed to you. And we must refrain from judging at this time. I keep saying it. In fact, one of the weekly readings was like, mind your business. Was it week 1? Mind your business. Why would Spirit say that? Because right now is not the time to be looking into other people's stuff. Right now, you need to be looking into your own stuff and focusing on you. So when you look out onto other people, you're not looking out to judge. You're looking to see, well, what's making them tick right now? I thought I understood whatever they're going through to the point that I've gotten to where I am, and I don't really, if I'm correct, and they're still, what they were before, and I don't want to be that, but maybe there's something else. If you can get out of the judgment seat, there's something else Spirit would like you to see, and they're using the same person to teach that to you. Okay, so just whatever comes to you, try to be as neutral. This is Libra. Try to be as neutral as possible as you move forward. The guides are telling me about Leo. Okay, we are looking at the moon in Leo, guys. Leo is ego as well. We all are, but Leo is the sign. We all love our Leos. Bless you guys. We love you, right? But we have to step out of this ego a bit. We have to step out of the ego so that we can be about the other. Ego is I. So if we can temper the ego just a bit so that we can allow for the other, that would be wonderful. Let's talk about trust. A big reason why a lot of us put up such strong boundaries, we're very emotionally unavailable, we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, is because there's a deep-seated fear of being conquered. There's a fear of being consumed. There's a fear of being erased. There's a fear of being overshadowed. This is a fear of death, okay? A fear of ceasing to be. That's some ego stuff right there. The ego fears, not being. And we have to understand that there are fears there that we have that are keeping us separate from others and that are keeping us in this place of having barriers and walls up. But when you really trust and you realize and you think to yourself, wow, no matter what happens, I trust myself. I trust myself that in the moment when a decision needs to be made, I will make the decision that is best for me. I trust that Spirit will be there to be in alignment with me and to help me. And so when you start to take your fear out of the equation and put more positivity and positive expectation and trust into this equation, you walk into the world with less fear. And then you're less afraid of mingling with others. Okay, you can mingle with others. You can hang around with the guy who served, time in prison. You can hang around with the person who may be battling some type of addiction, or just you can hang around with the kid who's not, or the person that's not cool in the group. You can hang around with that person who's a 10-time cheater but really helped you out when you were in college. You're not afraid of being corrupted by these energies. That's the thing. And you get out of this fear mode. You're not afraid to walk down the Vegas Strip because you know that all vices known to man is freaking found on that strip. All of it, okay? On that little strip there's everything. You can find everything there, from clean family fun to a bathtub with one less kidney, where we at, right? But the point is, when you really understand and you trust yourself, you're not afraid to walk through a place like that, or to go and have fun in your own way there, because you are incorruptible. So you have to understand that when we are putting up a lot of these barriers to other people, it's partly because there's a little bit of a fear that you cannot withstand the energy of this other being or this other influence, and that you're going to lose yourself in some way. And we see that with our cute little kids as they're growing up and they're in 10th grade, and all of a sudden they don't want you to give them kisses anymore on their cute little cheeks at school. Mom, stop, you're embarrassing me. Yeah, listen, stop faking the funk. Who are these other kids? They barely changed their underwear. Like, look, you know me, just come here, give me a hug and go to school, right? Because they're afraid that they're going to be associated with something. But then you see this one kid who is popular with the other kids, God bless, or this kid's himself, and his mom is saying bye. He's like, bye mom, love you. And all the other moms and dads are watching. They're like, damn, I wish my kid was like that. Love you. And they're not even caring. And all the other kids like them. They're not like, oh, he kissed his mom. And even if they do, he's like, so she's my mom. What about it? And then it's done. That's what I'm talking about. These are people who are unafraid to delve in because they don't fear that they have something to lose. So you see, when we move in to these lessons that are coming up, these Libra seasons and stuff, and all these seasons, you have to understand there are many things that are happening, and there are many things that we as our souls are working on. It's not just little things like, oh my God, relationships. He's not texting. No, it's much deeper than that. It's learning to trust. It's understanding who you are and looking at who you're being, and understanding your ego and how it shows up and what your wounds are, and understanding the power of choice and noticing that there are many choices you can make, and noticing, am I grounding? Am I giving myself an anchor here? Am I even putting my intentions to the right place? I'm seeing two things. Are they the same or are they different? And it's trial by error. And so the guides are saying, and they're laughing in a sense, because it's like, yeah, have fun. This is what you came for. Meanwhile, we're down here like, this is not what I came for. This is not what I came for. And they're like, okay, we're all cool here. Have some lemonade. I love how they said lemonade. I know they're talking to somebody. I don't know who you are, but love you. Hope your lemonade's good, okay? But the guides are like, this is why you came. You love this ish. You love it. Your soul loves it. This is a freaking playground to be learning all types of things and experiencing and getting action that you're just not able to get in wherever you were. So you came here, right? And of course, part of the process is the forgetting. If we remembered the awesomeness of who we are and where we came from, the depression would be just too much. Everyone would be jumping off cliffs because they want to get back to that real place that's so joyful. If you look at stories of people who have had NDEs or near-death experiences, many of them characteristically have a bout of depression following it because they remember where they were. And that's one of the gifts of the NDE, to remember. But when they catch themselves after that depression, they get into it. They start being on mission. They start being speakers. They start sharing their stories. They're on it. And that's what their soul wanted. They wanted to have that recall. But there are other times when, we are not allowed to recall certain things because, it's simple why? Because if you were to recall certain things, that awareness would nullify the conditions that were created for you to learn. So if you wanted to learn lessons through the vehicle of poverty, if you're remembering your lifetimes where you were so well provided for, and you were royal, and or you had great parents who cared for you, or you were self-made, or you remembered the God's love and how it was not even about the money, it's about your energy, and what is money and nothing, you can manifest it like that. Guess what? You're not going to be able to have the experience that your soul wanted to have through the lens of poverty. And then you won't even get to know if you could really triumph if you dipped that low into this poverty and you grew up there and you ended up having poverty consciousness. Could you get out of that by remembering who you are? And that's the quote unquote, and I use this word, but you know, I struggle with it too. I'm like, what? That's the joy of being here. If I've ever met an interdimensional word, that's it, because it ain't happening right now. I'm just kidding. Is that the fourth dimension and above? Because we out here, and yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So that's what's coming through. I guess so far they're just giving us a little bit of a heads up of what things we'll be looking at, giving us some offers of how to approach certain things. Look at this guy, super cute, King of Roses. Look at him. He's thinking. Wow, some roses fell into his hand, but what are these? He's thinking. He's not like, what is this? He's not crushing it. He's not automatically thinking to re-gift it and give it to someone else. He's looking at it. Something fell into my hand. Let me, just I'm saying that, they're having me use some Florida water. Maybe I have to share that with you guys. Do you guys ever use this? Agua de Florida. Where's that accent from? Nowhere. Does anyone ever use Florida water? It smells so good. Yums. I don't know what it smells like, but it smells like Florida water, and I'm sure a lot of you know what it is, because you know, and some of you maybe really new, but I suggest a Murray and Landman Florida water. I like the glass bottles personally, but you know, I ordered online and I'm also trying to be economic, so these are plastic, but anyway. And also I just want to let you know, just flip the top. Don't be weird like me thinking like, every time. And then one day I was like, oh, okay, lame Jonelle. But you can do a lot of wonderful things. I just cleanse my hands a little bit. I like to get water in a spray bottle and pour some of this in. I mist it around to make things smell good. I might add a little salt to it to kind of spritz away. You can do quite a few things. So just look that up if that's something you're interested in. You can take baths in it. God is good. You can use it to purify. Some people use it on their altars if they have one. So they just wanted me to bring that to your attention for some reason. That is very much for somebody here. Wow. They're giving me the number 8 for some reason. So you're going to know. I don't know if they're saying 8 bottles, please. I mean, I don't think so. But they're just, I'm just here to give the messages as they come through. Alrighty, poos. Okay. What else, guys? Anything else? I always come in with the intention of making these readings short, because like, who has time these days, guys, right? But I have to be honest, once Spirit starts talking, I try to detach from, I just let them do their thing, because they know who they're talking to. And I know, because I could feel you guys. Sometimes I know who it is too, but obviously I don't know everybody, so just let them plan the time accordingly. I feel like I need 2 cards right there. Let's go ahead and see. Thank you. So they're saying that you may find yourself during this season also being alone. I knew this card would come right back. It's almost like I could feel it still. Okay, let's go. You might find yourself being alone. If you find yourself being alone during the next few weeks, during the next month, basically, Spirit is saying, please understand this is for a reason, because yes, even though we're learning about interrelationships during this time, remember when we learn about interrelationships, we're learning about really the intra relationship that we have with ourselves, because people just mirror us. So we're actually living in a hall of mirrors, and we just don't have the perspective to see how true that is. Just trust me on that. But for right now, we're so deep in it, into the thick of it, that we literally perceive of other people as being outside of us and as possessing qualities, especially qualities we don't want to be associated with. We see that as outside, but if you spot it, you got it, you know it. But there are also some of you who are going to be experiencing some period of loneliness, a sensation of loneliness, a time of being alone. So if you find that people are too busy for you, if you have the perception, notice the P word, if you have the perception that you're being given the brush off, that doors are closing, people don't want to hang out with you, they're choosing other things, don't get in your feelings. Observe. Remember, you're literally learning something. So for some of you, the vehicle for learning during Libra season is going to be being by yourself, to have that experience. And let's keep it a stack, you guys. We all love relationships. Listen, I am a hopeless romantic. We all know that. If you know me personally, you understand that. As much as I'm a hermit, you know what I'm about with that romance. And I suck at it. I'm sorry. But I've gotten better, I think, maybe, sort of, okay? This is what we're doing. This is why we're out here. We're learning. But we have to keep it 100 and keep it real. When we are by ourselves, we are definitely learning a lot more than we could than we could learn in partnership. Now, I don't want to say a lot more, but let's change that. If for some people, well, let's just say it feels good sometimes. It feels good to be alone because, and I know I'm really hermity, but just trust me on this, it feels very good to be alone sometimes because you are able to access learning and lessons and synthesize things and be abrupt about things. You can be as impulsive as you need. You can be as you choose. It's you. And you're able to do all of this without needing to consult another person. Now, please don't get this wrong, meaning, oh, well, now I'm a single person, so I get to just willy-nilly go off the face of the earth. Yeah, people still have friends and family that you probably want to talk to, and there are things you have to be accountable to, your job and such, but you understand what I'm saying. Tonight, you want to go to bed 2 a.m. playing GTA, District 10, RP, order something late, just do it, wake up late tomorrow, do your thing. You can do that. You don't have to reach out to anybody. You want to pick up and go today, you want to call in sick and just get in your car and just drive and rent an Airbnb, and now you're spending 2 to 3 days somewhere. You don't have to tell anyone you're going out of town. That's freedom. That is a kind of freedom you just can't get when you are really with a lot of people. Now, that doesn't mean that being single is a preferred state, because we all would like to be like, well, actually, of course, there's some things that you would prefer to be in relationship for, because sometimes, hey, maybe you want to have someone else on that road trip, for starters, right? But please, all joking aside, but not really, just understand that being alone and being single is a very powerful vehicle for learning. And I do feel that a lot of times people are made to be single, meaning like in your soul chart, it's in there. Why? Because maybe your soul just really needs to learn this lifetime what that's like. And you may be like, forever alone, # forever alone. And and then we look in your life and we're like, dude, yeah man, you forever alone, for reals. But then when we look in your soul chart, we realize, oh, actually, looks like the last 5 lifetimes you were heavy into relationships. You were barefoot and pregnant the whole time through. You gave up your career in this one lifetime to be with the man that you thought was going to whatever. And it turned out to be a 45-year lifetime with domestic abuse and cheating and this and that, or this person, you had to end up taking care of them, or in this other lifetime you were so ill that you had to marry early and somebody took care of you. We don't know. And in this lifetime, your spirit's like, no partnership. This time, get out there. I want you to experience what it feels like. You just have to put in the time. What does it feel like to be alone? What do you do with that? Do you see it as a death sentence? Do you keep running into relationships and stuff to try to, take your mind off of the loneliness? Or do you finally wake up and realize, oh my God, being alone doesn't have to be equated with lonely. I can fill my time with great companions, with wonderful hobbies, with activities that allow me to learn who I am, with activities that allow me to explore my world. There's so many things I can do by myself if I can get out of the sob story. And to be honest, I mean, let's be honest. You don't have access to those past life things and your soul chart sometimes in a conscious way. If you're just, some people do because they sit there and they're able to meditate and connect and get that insight. But many people don't. And so, of course, they're going to feel lonely and they're going to feel like a loser and they're going to feel like a whatever else goes along with these kinds of feelings, right? But then when they really see what's going on with their soul and they see the soul chart and they get it, if you're talking to a reader or you have the dream or your guides come through or just whatever, and then you start to see all the puzzle pieces come in and you realize, oh my God, I've just been working on something. And oh my gosh, I'm the one who said I never want to have, like I said, I want to have the next 3 lifetimes of non-interference, right? But this time I don't want to be a nun. I want to be, free and see what I do with it. It's a challenge. And yeah, come on. Trust yourself. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You know why you did this. You just forgot. Hold on. You know why you did this. Come on. You just forgot. That's it. And so to sum up that whole last part, during this season also, especially if you find yourself alone, you have to remember that there is a rhyme and a reason for why things are the way they are. And a lot of times it's because you chose it from a conscious level down here. A lot of times it's because you're choosing it from an unconscious level and you just haven't become aware enough to notice that your subconscious is still driving you. A lot of times it's because your soul chart, it's in your chart as you as the architect chose from a higher perspective to make it be so, right? There are so many moving parts that go into what's happening here on earth. Look at this card. It's so cute. It's like all of us assembled to hear these words. Like, yes. It's like Saint Germain's like, and before you go down, let me give you your exit speech. Remember, and you're remembering now. Look at you. The card's right on top of your cute little head as you're talking to your guides. God bless, right? So they're like, looky over here, your guide and you are sitting in silence because you're up in this prison. Like, dude, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in communication with your team? You want to look onto your life with new eyes, try something new, call spirit in, try to observe what's happening, see the world around you as mirroring something that's going on inside of you, whether you're aware of it or not. And if you're not aware of the connection, you commit to delving in. Or do you want to sit here in your sob story like, oh, #forever alone. Oh, no one understands me. No one listens to me. What am I doing wrong? I'm such a loser. Oh my God, I'm never going to, and all of that. Very real feelings. Trust me, I feel those feelings too. I'm very human. I just happen to be channeling. Please do not get confused with me and me channeling, because again, after I'm done with these videos, I go back and I watch it and I take some notes. I take notes, guys, because I know who's coming through. and I see the connections in my life. Okay, so I'm like, let me take those notes and see what I can do. You want to be in the sob story? Do you? But understand that when you're in the sob story, all you're doing is giving yourself more time in here. And you can even look at that in a compassionate way. Maybe you're just giving yourself more time to mull it over, to get tired of it, to finally get to a point where you want to make a change. But if you're waiting around to say, quote unquote, be rescued, let me let you know. God forbid in your soul contract, it's always you. We're like, I know myself, I'm going to mope it out for maybe about 4 years here. And then I'll meet this person. That's going to be something I'm just going to have to do. I'm going to meet this person and they're going to put me on the right path or put me on a certain path. And right. But there's always the hope that I will not mope around for 4 years, that I will, Because guess what? If you didn't mope around for 4 years and you really put your time in during that time, this person you were going to meet may no longer be needed because that person was supposed to come in and jolt you out of your rut, out of the sob story, out of the victim stuff, out of the martyrdom, out of the low self-worth, out of the poverty consciousness, out of the conditioning, all of that stuff. But if you took it upon yourself to really get moving and to try new things, you would have opened up potentials to meet others. And then guess what? You're just moving along your path. Sometimes we meet people who are there as a fail-safe. They're there to prick us because we have hit rock bottom and we don't realize. And we need to be pricked so that we can... Prickings hurt. I don't want to be pricked. You understand what I mean? We meet people who are here to course correct. That's the word. Course corrections. Now, would you like to be living, and we all get course corrections from time to time. If we're lucky, we don't realize it because it doesn't hurt. But sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. It's kind of like, how fast are you going before you hit that invisible wall? If you're just skipping along and do boom, oh, whoopsies, I just boomed myself. Or you like running full speed and breakneck speed, guess what? When you hit it, you're going to break your neck, right? And so you always want to be as grounded, collected, as aware as possible. And this is not about looking behind and being like, what was I doing all this time? No, it's like about, oh, hey, I just woke up, I'm seeing this video, or whenever I'm seeing this video, this is interesting. Well, let's, maybe I'll start now. That's it. Or I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start next week after, or I'll start after Valentine's Day. You know, people do it. Going into the holidays, they just want to, have that last hurrah with all the holidays. And yeah, so maybe after Mardi Gras. Yeah, okay. All right, do you? Any hoodles. Okay, anything else, guys? Ooh, let's do some surrender cards. By the way, if you haven't had a surrender reading, what are you doing? They're fun. So we do offer surrender readings at my Etsy shop, so feel free. Let's see, what shall we surrender or surrender to? Surrender to setting limits. Love it. Well, let's see these guys. I almost saw surrender to space. Yeah. So some of you, this is what they're saying earlier. Some of you are going to be having quite a bit of space now. Now, the beautiful thing about space is that it means that people aren't there, right? I'm not talking about space like, that's how space sounds. I don't know. Out there, I mean space, like spatial, empty room. So when we have space, it means people aren't there. It means the energy, the buzzings of other people are not there, so you can be in your own space and you can get calm and collected. He's up here and he's by himself and he's thinking much more clearly than when he's back on the ground, because when he's back on the ground, he's not only seeing other people, but he's seeing items all over. Everything that we look at has an associated meaning for us that's conditioned. So that's why you could totally be the top CEO in the world. You haven't been back to your house in like 50 years or whatever. But the minute you go back into your childhood house with all the pictures hanging and all the old furniture, you're in those feels again, because you're so conditioned to see those things and associate them with certain meanings. And so you see, it's very important for us to get ourselves out of certain surroundings so that we can have a fresh insight into something, fresh start. And so traveling helps you. Taking time away from people and things helps you. And if you can't do that, sometimes the universe does it for you. So, just saying. Surrender to play. Yeah, have a little fun. But I'm seeing this play as being about curiosity. For somebody here, actually, they really want you to go to some theatrical performance. Okay, you'll know who you are because it'll pop up for you. But I see here that this is about having fun and being curious, trying to get back into as childlike, but from an adult perspective, not childlike like I'm gonna go be reckless, like no, get back into as childlike a curiosity, childlike of a curiosity. Oh my gosh, what is happening? As childlike a curiosity, a sense of curiosity as you can be in. meaning it's unassuming, unjudging, no prejudices, right? That's what Spirit is saying. Especially because they are trying to pull, I feel like you're going to be trying to pull us all during Scorpio season. Scorpio is the sign that comes after Libra, just so you guys know. But during Scorpio season, I'm feeling they're going to be trying to pull us as a collective through the eye of a needle, so to speak. In other words, they're going to be opening us up into a new I don't want to say new dimension, but new way of being, new just arena, frequency, energetic, whatever. And in order to make that move through the portal, don't we have some eclipses coming up? I wonder when. But anyway, in order to make your way through this portal, whatever it is, the name is not necessary. The energy is going to be there. Anyway, you're going to have to allow yourself to be led. And you're going to have to, you're going to have to, I see this as surrender, setting limits. So you're going to have to stop with the judgment, stop with the limitations, the limited thinking. Because if Spirit is trying to update you and upgrade you on something, and they send a piece of literature towards you, or they send a scripture, or they send a certain movie or video or something to watch, or even a certain person that you wouldn't normally connect with, and you have your prejudices there, you will prejudge, and you will slip yourself right out of that opportunity. So you won't be able to go through this eye of the needle, so to speak. So this is what we talk about, being able to evolve and progress. And that's why evolution and progression requires us to be flexible and be open to releasing that which no longer serves us, and being open and aware enough to see when we're being probed anyway, to release something. Okay, so just trust me on that. So anyway, and surrender stress. Definitely do your best. When I think about Libra, it always feels like a very light energy. I mean, it is very airy, right? It's an air sign. Libra is an air sign. And it feels very light. It could even feel flouncy at times in a nice way. Frills, like a frilly shirt. To me, this is what it feels like. It feels very feminine. So like a feather, light as a feather. So try to be as stress-free as possible. Okay? Anyway, surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. I like that. That's not the... Okay. I like that. Is that the same card? Looks so similar. These two, look, surrender and negative thinking. Look how the cards seem kind of similar. So change your outdated negative beliefs about yourself. You have a lot that you don't realize. And as always, see how this on track card is here? I love it. We're on track, okay? If you're struggling through something right now and this is all like seeming to bombard you, don't worry. You're right on path. You might be like, no, I'm not, Jade. And I'm like, I look in your soul, your energy field and your soul chart and whatever we look into, and I see it's like, oh, actually, you're supposed to be working on this very same lesson right now. So you're on track. This card wouldn't come out if you weren't either. And look, the will card. So your will should be about moving forward in the best way to promote your health and well-being. Understand that when you are promoting your health and well-being from a higher perspective, in a higher way, not this low level, oh, it's about me, self-care, but then you're like, crapping on everybody as you pursue your self-care. That's low level stuff, right? Remember, we have to be in the heart space to understand the true lens about what that service looks like, what that caring for self looks like. But when you're working on your health and well-being from a higher perspective, in alignment with your highest self and with spirit, ding, ding, right? You are at the same time being of service to others, okay? So anyway, surrender to setting limits with things that no longer are on the path of your health and well-being. During Libra season, do not rush to judge. You observe. Towards the end of Libra season, maybe about week 3, week 4, then look at what you've observed and what you've collected, data, and then start considering who and what is no longer in alignment with you and what should. You might be surprised, and this is kind of moving through a needle as well, the eye of the needle. You might be surprised by who surprises you this month. And if you come with your judgments, you're going to dismiss somebody and you're going to miss something wonderful. You're going to miss some, they're saying lemons. You're going to miss some lemons. Guys, preach it. They're coming through with something. Lemonade, lemons. Alrighty, poos. Guys, gots to go. Thank you so much for reaching out. Reaching out. Who reached out? Okay. I don't know. Well, you guys, because you're here watching. Anyway, I'm feeling you. You reached out too. Look, she's like reaching out. So thank you so much for watching. And thanks, of course, to our team, our guides, the universe, our galactic cousins, everybody who's here to help support us. Thank you, God. Called in everybody. And I wish you guys all the best. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, please go ahead and reach out. And if you would like to have an energy healing session with me via Zoom, go ahead and reach out. It's all via Etsy. And if you have readings waiting for me, I just want to let you guys know a whole batch is coming out today. All right, including this one. See you guys later. Bye.